Hi everybody, it's Ed again. I wanted to do part two of the world's simplest trading strategy, or well, maybe it's not the world's simplest, but it's pretty darn simple. Again, to recap, you're looking for these sorts of things. You're looking for a 1334.89 EMA crossover um, to the upside, to the downside. All three moving averages have got to be above, or all three moving averages have to be in trend 89. If you're looking for a long, 89's got to be pointed up. 13's got to be pointed up, 34's got to be pointed up, or vice versa. 18, 34, 39, you've got to, all three of these have got to be pointing down. And you're looking for pointing down and looking for the crossover. Okay, so 13 for a short, 13's got to be below the 34, 34 and the 13 got 13's got to be below 34. 34 is below go, has to be below 89 EMA. So everything's in trend. The 89 EMA we're looking at for an indicator of trend, pointing up, pointing down. Okay, so and price action trading above or trading below. I have looked at a lot of stuff, and I've heard a lot of people say, for example, here's today's price action, and people look at this chart and go, well, why didn't you get in down here? Why didn't you get in at the crossover? Why didn't you get in when it turned up here? The reason why I didn't is because I've run a lot of stats. I've done a huge amount of back testing. I've been doing this for 2.5 years. Constant back testing, constant looking at what consistently works. And I'm not looking for something that is going to work one day tremendously and then throw a $500 loss the next day. I'm looking for that consistent win, the consistent profit. While this particular system, this particular crossover, it didn't get me down in here. Yeah, sure, it didn't. But I can show you charts where you would have gotten in and then it went back the other way and threw you a loss. So I'm just looking at it from a statistics point of view. Okay, part two. I want to go over today, and I'll go back to Mondays here in a second. The first question is, how do you know this is going to be a trend? How do you know it's going to be a breakout? How do you know this is going to take off the way it is? How do you know it's how can you tell trend from chop day? Well, here's a real good way that I've figured out by staring at charts for so long. And these moving averages, the 13, the 34, and the 89, they're all EMAs. I have found those to be, pretty reliable. You want to look at some things about these moving averages. You want to look at, number one, the slope. You want to look at where price action is, depending on, is it trading above or below, like, say, for example, 89 EMA. Is it trading above, trading below? Okay, number one. Number two, what's the slope of that line? Is the slope going up, slope going down? Slope going up on 89 EMA generally says, hey, we're going up. Slope going down generally says, like right here, generally says we're going down. Okay. I'm looking also, number two, I'm looking also at the distance between these guys, between the 89 and the 34 and the 34 and the 13. You can see where these lines all bunched together, and I put a square around this guy. See where all these lines bunched up together, where they got all really, it wasn't necessarily flat. The 89 flattened out right in here. And all these lines started bunching up. So this was, when you look at the overall chart, you see this is as a pullback into the long. However, you didn't know that when it was back here. You have no idea what that is. I mean, is that, is that a pullback just above the 89 to go back for a short? Is this a nice short move or not? Well, I would say, looking at this chart from and objectively looking at it, I would say no. And here's why. That's not it would not be a short setup here. And here's why. See how far apart those lines are? That tells me that there's really no. It's choppy. There's nothing here to say that that's going to be a nice trending move. You can see that on Monday. Look at how Monday's chart was. I mean, you had you had this consolidation right here, but see how far that is above that 89 EMA. Man, that's just Chop City there. You can see, and even now you've got a little bit here where all the moving averages were together, kind of smushed together. The difference between the moving averages was very, very small. You could, and the computer indicated that there was a possible short there. So you could have taken that as a short, a pullback, and then a short, but it didn't go anywhere. And there was a lot of chop here, and it was getting late in the afternoon, as you can see. So that, I don't think that chop was going to go anywhere. So between 2:10 in the afternoon and cash market close, that's all that sucker did, man. It's like 15 points move all after, half of the afternoon is 15-point move. So I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. The computer would have gotten me into the trade, and in fact, I think it did, and it threw a loss, like $125. It was a small loss, but I mean, you have those days. I mean, you're gonna have days where you're gonna lose money, and everybody will tell you that. See, look at this. Look at the range on it. The high to the low was 30 points. On the on the NQ, that's nothing. Okay, so we're looking at all these moving averages. It came together here. You might have gotten into something right there, but I wouldn't have. There's nothing to me that would say there's anything up here. Okay, now let's start coming into today. Another one. Here was a short here. There was a 1334 crossover, which some people take. Some people like that 1334 crossover, or they want to trade price action when it trades above the 13 or above the 34 or below the 13 here, below the 34. And that wasn't a bad move. You could take the 1334 crossover, or when price action traded below, there's price action trading below the 34 EMA, and then come down here and wait until it comes back up. That would have been a nice little chunk of change. You could have taken that trade right there. I wouldn't. To me, it's still saying choppy. It's still saying choppy. When see this little square there? That's when everything came together, and that's when the market took off. And I can show you that. Let me go back. Here is this is Friday's move here. Here we go. There's very, very close together. They all came very, very close together. So the market, the moving averages kind of flattened out. You can see all that flatten out. When they flatten out and get all close together, that's an indication there's going to be a trend move soon. When they're all far apart like that, when they're far apart like this, you're either consolidating like this or crossing back and forth and back and forth. Or like this guy, you're already in the middle of a trend move, so don't chase. That one of the best ways to lose money trading is to chase a trade. People want to jump in, and if you wanted to jump in there, say for example, there was a little bit of a pullback there. Yeah, you could have, but there's no guarantee that was going to do anything. This was after New York opened. So you see the crossover. Moving averages come here really, really close, and then they started taking off. All three were in trend. The computer didn't pick this up because this is pre-market. You can see a little bit of a trend move there. The computer picked that up. The computer would have picked that up, but I wouldn't have taken that. All three moving averages are pointing up, and the 34 is above the 89, the 13 is above 34, but it didn't go anywhere. So again, chop day. That was interesting. The computer probably would have still taken that trade. That would have been a loss. That would have been a very, very small gain. And that was Thursday. Thursday was a kind of a chop day, and you can see that. Here's the indications of a chop day. I mean, look at this. I mean, look at these moving averages. They're very, very far apart, and it's 13 and 34 just kind of crossing over. So the market doesn't know what it's doing. Even though the 89, everything's trading above the 89, the 1334 is just crossing back, forth, back, forth. So, like I said, the market has no idea what it's doing. It was very, very choppy. And if you look at these moving averages, you can kind of get a real good feel of, is the market going to start trending, or is the market going to start taking off? So Thursday, again, you had that choppy move. This was just a continuation of, I think this was, what was this, Tuesday's move. There was a really, really good one right there, Tuesday, and then just it continued up. So, again, the moving averages are really far apart here. We're in a trend. You didn't see that 13 cross that 34 until what? Until up here, right? So you got nice trend, okay? Even Wednesday, I mean, you could have said, okay, there's a pullback to the 34 and I can get in. Okay, that would have been, that may or may not. I would not have gotten into that trade unless I did it manually, and I've learned to kind of trust the computer to tell me what's what. Anyway, let me scroll to the end here. Anyway, that was today, and I wanted to show you those moving averages when they bunch together like that and then break and then start spreading apart. That's usually not always. I mean, there's nothing guaranteed in this business, but that's usually an indication that you're going to start seeing a trend move instead of chop, chop, chop. When these things are far apart like this, chop, 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 I would stay out. So anyway, have an absolutely wonderful day. I hope you guys got a piece of that. That was a good move. That was a $500 move per contract. So I hope you guys got into that. Hope you guys got a piece of that. Happy trading tomorrow. By the way, I would be looking at pre-market probably 7 o'clock or so in the morning to find out, is this a continuation, or has the market started to come down and chop? If the market started to come down and chop, I would be careful and start looking. I would be looking for something like that. I wouldn't be trying to trade pullbacks or anything else. I mean, sometimes you leave money on the table. You know, it is what it is. Anyway, have a good evening, and we'll talk to you later. Watch your part 3. I'm going to start talking about targets, how to tell when you've got a reasonable target to hit. Like, say, for example, you got a great entry here. Where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? I will start talking next time in part 3 about looking at reasonable targets that you can put on your charts, reasonable lines you can put on your charts, and figuring out where the market's going to quit the trend. See you later.